Then we get down into the large intestine. The large intestine very much evolved to protect itself. In some ways, there's a lot of similarities between the stomach and the large intestine in terms of what the mucosa looks like. So there are lots of crypts, but no villi, because in the large intestine, we don't need the surface area expansion for absorption that we need in the small intestine. So most secretion is from goblet cells. Again, it's an alkaline, watery solution. Our large intestine is home to a large number of bacteria, right? That's our microbiome. Bacteria have a tendency to produce acid, just like they do in the mouth. So this thin alkaline secretion helps to protect the mucosa from the acids produced by bacteria as part of their metabolism. And remember, those bacteria are essentially metabolizing all of the things that we couldn't digest or absorb, right? So we're basically feeding them. You all have heard more about this than probably any other group in the past, that the microbiome, the bacteria that live in us, we're learning play a much larger role than we ever thought, right? So like one of the new treatments for certain GI disorders is what's called a fecal transplant, where they take feces from one person and put it into the large intestine of another. Now, why on earth would you do that? To transplant bacteria from one person to another. So it's fascinating. I think we're going to continue to learn more about how the microbiome plays a role, which makes sense. I like to think about the animals, right? A lot of animals use bacteria in their guts on purpose. Like that's how cows do their thing, right? The bacteria break down the cellulose, and the cellulose can be used by the cow to make cow out of grass, right? So it's amazing, but we just don't know very much about it. All right, so the pelvic nerves, all right, innervate the large intestine. They respond to parasympathetic stimulation with mucus secretion. Why mucus? Because it helps protect the epithelium from the nasty contents. Of all the places in the GI tract, the large intestine is probably the worst neighborhood. Because while the stomach has like this powerful acid, it's predictable, right? The large intestine, the materials there vary immensely from day to day, right? Because what we eat changes. Typically, clinic diarrhea is usually the result of large intestinal dysfunction. Either it's out of control secretion, so like when the large intestine is irritated, its response is to really increase its mucus and water production. So it means that many of the clinical diarrhea scenarios, like cholera, right? Where did that water come from? From the large intestine. The large intestine dumped it into the feces, and then it came out in the feces. We'll talk much more about cholera later on, but it's over time, it's one of the greatest killers of human beings of all time. Cholera killed more people in World War I than bullets did. Now it's gotten much better because now we have antibiotics to deal with it, but it still is a big deal.